Today we're going to talk about 8 reasons people hold on to things that they don't need. We have a quick decluttering decisions cheat sheet to share with you guys today. Cheaters. A lot of us feel like we just have too much clutter. Like we have too much stuff that we have to keep track of, clean up, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to getting rid of stuff, kind of gets difficult sometimes.
If I know I have to do something and I don't know what the first step is, it's just so easy to ignore it. So easy to say, oh, but I have something else to do.
That tends to happen a lot with clutter because there's a reason that it cluttered up your house in the first place. Sometimes it can just be hard to recognize what things you can stand to get rid of. Alright, so there are 8 basic reasons that we've identified, at least from our experience, why we hang on to things that we don't need. One of them might be because it's a special use item. Once you have it, it feels good to have that specific thing for that specific job. Like an apple slicer, for example. That's a really useful but very special use item. If you eat a lot of apples, it makes sense to keep it. If you don't eat a lot of apples, it doesn't really make any sense. If this special use item is not part of a special family tradition, like a holiday tradition or something like that, something that you do consistently, regularly, then it's probably really not worth hanging on to.
Another one is expensive. You paid a lot of money for it and you don't use it for anything. It's like a doorstop or a paperweight.
It makes you feel kind of dumb and it feels bad to get rid of it. The reality is just because you spent a lot on it doesn't mean you need to keep spending space on it. A big one, probably the biggest one because of the what if. What if the stars align in a certain way?
Do we have like some sort of hero fantasy that one day somebody will need this and we will be like, I have just the thing for that?
Let's think logically about this, guys. There is a chance that you would need everything at one point in your life. You have no way of knowing what you're gonna need someday. But that doesn't mean you go out and buy all the stuff, collect all the stuff just in case. This is kind of a poverty mindset. Oh, if I don't hoard this, I'm not going to be taken care of someday.
Another one of these is it's broken, but I'm going to fix it. If it's been broken for more than 2 months, let's just face it, it's not going to happen, guys. You're not going to fix it. You might as well just get rid of it. I'm preaching to the choir because I have like 2 or 3 computers sitting around that I'm going to fix someday. Another one is one that's near and dear to my heart. If it still works.
The thing with keeping something just because it's perfectly good, but you actually cringe when you use it or when you look at it because it annoys the crap out of you, stuff that you really don't like, you want to surround yourself, you want to have stuff in your life that you really appreciate, that adds value and beauty. Just because it's perfectly good, that's just not a good reason. You didn't sign a contract with your stuff. I like to call things leveling up or upgrading when I get something that I like better than the thing that I had before. Doesn't necessarily mean it's more expensive or anything. This one to me is the most difficult of the reasons that we hold on to things that we don't need, and that is when it's a gift. There's just kind of some guilt that goes into that.
It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you don't want. It can be something that you don't need.
There are a couple ways that you can deal with this. You have stuff that is special to you, but that you don't really use in everyday life. You can find a way to upcycle it. There's tons of ideas on Pinterest of ways to upcycle things. If you are concerned that the person who gave you the gift is going to notice and feel offended, you could maybe put the item into storage for a little while as kind of a trial just to see what happens. I'm a big proponent of putting things into storage and kind of trialing getting rid of something just to see how you feel about it. If the only thing is really just that you feel guilty getting rid of it just because someone gave it to you and they're not going to notice, it's not going to make any sort of difference in any way other than that you just feel guilty, then maybe one way to look at it would be that there's someone out there who could be using that item that would really enjoy it, and you're kind of robbing them of that opportunity.
Just make sure you document it, take a picture of it, and have a way that you can remember that somebody gave that to you if you want to keep the memory of it. This is another biggie. If you have stuff laying around your house that represents something that you want to be someday. I had grand plans back in the day for my wife and myself to be artists. So I bought this really expensive easel for my wife for her birthday thinking, oh, this is going to be a great thing. Did we ever use that? We never used it. We didn't use it once. And it sat there. It was a big thing. It was in the way. Then we stored it and it got a little bit of water damage, and it was just one of those things that just, irritated me seeing it because life happened, we were busy, we had kids, so on and so forth.
If you don't have an actual plan to use items that represent what you want to be or do someday, then it's not going to happen, and those items sitting around really will probably just eat at you and make you feel frustrated.
It can be a source of guilt. If you want to keep it, make a specific plan. Say, I'm gonna devote X amount of time a day. Start doing it. If you are honest with yourself, I don't want to make time for it, maybe we should just get rid of it and make space in our life.
The other thing is that some of the stuff is stuff you might have wanted to do someday, but realize that that's not really who you are anymore, who you want to be anymore. It's okay to get rid of it. It's okay to move on. The biggest thing that tends to hold us up from getting rid of things is just not really wanting to make the decision because you're not sure what you want to do with something. And that's partly why we made this list. It shouldn't be an excuse anymore. I don't know, I just don't know, and just pushing it off further in the future when you're going to magically know someday. It's really all about just deciding to make a decision. If you need just a quick jump start, something to motivate you a little bit, we have actually created an email series. Just 7 days, basically just, okay, I'm deciding to do this. I'm going to take this time and do it.
Remember, as always, stay clever, folks. Why are you keeping it? Why are you holding on to it? Why? Is it really that fun to have to step over